Alright, welcome everyone back to our continuation of Virtual Murder 3, the murder of Brett Penance, the case of the environmental surfer. Trying to get back on track here. The last time that we checked in for the first playthrough of this game, we had gotten as far as the report of the murder, looked over the crime scene, and interviewed all of the suspects. What I'm going to do in this portion of the video, we're going to hopefully get to all the witnesses that are available to hear from, also verify the alibis, and possibly get through the other sources where we can actually, for the first time in this series of virtual murder games, we can retrace the victim's route leading up to their murder. So this, like the places that they visited, stops that they made along the way. That's something that we can do now for the first time in this third virtual murder game. Again, it's great that they thought to add little things here and there to give the playthrough a little bit more variety, give us as players a little bit more meat on the bone. One thing I'll note that I already had before I started recording, I did go through and clicked on all of the suspect interviews, and it did eat away at 3 hours worth of our gameplay, which usually defaults at 6 hours. But that has to be done in order to access the non-testimonial evidence for each suspect. If you don't access their interview, it tells you that you have insufficient cause to be looking for any non-testimonial evidence. So we'll have to get that done. Maybe I think we'll see if we can get the witnesses done first, then maybe jump from that to the other sources and see how we do. So let's get the ball rolling. More than likely, if I go long enough in this video, we'll have a brief pause, and then I'll start back up again with a brand new game to give us the 6 hours that we need to get more of this covered. So let's go to the witnesses. So again, each of these people either has a friend connection to Brett, or is a witness of some type to his movements the day of the murder, or is also either a party to the ongoing dispute over the land development deal that he was strongly against. So let's start with A. Armstrong. If I recall, I believe this is somebody that's a family friend. I could be wrong.
My name is Amanda Armstrong. I went to school with Brett. I was a year behind him. I know you need help solving his murder, and there's something I've got to tell you. I was at my friend's house the other day, Allie Rhodes. Her mom, Mrs. Rhodes, is the head of the town board of selectmen, and she's really for this Fossil Cove development, the one that everyone's so worked up about. Anyway, when I was there, we overheard her on the phone in the kitchen. I heard her say to someone, if that Penance snot doesn't watch it, someone's going to kill him. Allie got real embarrassed and said her mother always says things like that, especially when she's talking to her boyfriend, Al. I kind of forgot all about it, but then this happened.
Okay, so again, these witness interviews are a lot shorter than the suspects, and gives us little bit of extra insight rather, into some of the suspects that we have to pick from. In this case, this was actually someone that overheard one of the suspects, Cynthia Rhodes, I believe, alluding to the fact that Brett was going to get himself killed if he kept going on about this opposition to the land development deal. Alright, so let's go down here. Let's go to Harriet Wilson.
My name is Harriet Wilson. I'm the president of Citizens for Responsible Growth. And since Fossil Cove wasn't, we were fighting it. This business about the is horrible. I certainly hope it has nothing to do with Brett's involvement in the permit battle. That as a citizen, I felt honor-bound to come forward. After the last hearing, a man named Al Ciprano threatened Brett's life. Brett had spoken up eloquently against the project. I think the Board of Selectmen was finally hearing and seeing our side's point. Mr. Ciprano took it upon himself to go up to Brett afterward in the hall outside chambers and tell him that if he didn't watch it, he would get himself killed. Ciprano is the proposed contractor on the project. $40 million worth of crap, if you ask me. That threat, it's the kind of detail I thought you ought to know. It's a little too coincidental that 3 days later the boy is dead. Don't you think?
Yeah, another character in the story with a interesting, I don't know how you say it, an interesting vocal delivery. So I'm sure people could say the same about me sometimes, but hey. But now in that case, Harriet Wilson was implicating Al Ciprano, essentially saying the exact same thing to Brett as Rhodes did, where his opposition to the land deal would get himself killed. So let's go down here now. This is the deceased's mother, Janet Penance.
Your name? I'm Janet Penance, Brett's mom. He left the house yesterday around 4, saying that he was going to the beach and that he had an errand after that. He said he'd be home around 7. He's never late, and when he didn't come home by 8:30, I got nervous. That's when I called the police. I can't help but think that this has something to do with that fight over the development at Fossil Cove Beach. Everyone, the developer, the owner of the land, the builder, even the head of the city council, they were furious with Brett. It means a lot of jobs. Real estate's been way down. I know he loved the wetlands there, and this meant a lot to him, but I wish he'd never gotten involved in the whole mess.
Miss Penance, we're keeping your son's car down at the police station for further investigation. We'd also like to seal off his bedroom and take a good look around.
Yeah, I understand. Please.
We'll need to talk to Mr. Penance.
You can't. He's dead. He died when Brett was 3.
Is there anything else you can think of about yesterday? Anything that sticks in your mind that might help us?
He was carrying a manila envelope. It probably had something to do with Fossil Cove. He was always carrying papers related to the case.
Okay, so we learned a few things there. That he had some sort of folder with, we're assuming, his paperwork, evidence to do with the Fossil Cove case, and we also have access apparently to his car as well as his bedroom. Interesting note that, as we were probably, as any investigator would be going to talk to Janet Penance here, you'd think that we would have had some type of inkling, either from looking at her existing address and any other information, that there wouldn't be a Mr. Penance to talk to if he was deceased by many, many years ago. If you noticed, after clicking on Janet, this popped up. Like Lucy, our assistant, is now highlighted. So let's see what she has to say.
There's no trace of a manila envelope anywhere in the car. Brett either mailed it or it was stolen. Did it contain the papers that James Hall talks about?
There we go. So again, it's something I'll have to actually, I think that I missed one of these in our suspect interviews. Maybe when we get closer to the remaining 2.5 hours we got. When I pause this and start it up again, I'll go and capture what, if any, follow-up notes from Lucy on our suspect interviews, because I think there's one or two, if I recall, and I don't believe I played them for you the last time, so we'll hopefully catch those. So we're going to go in this direction, so let's go up to Randy Howland, surfer friend of Brett's.
My name's Randy Howland. I'm a good friend of Brett's. We were surfing together yesterday afternoon, but I had to leave early to get to work. The storm was coming, and the waves were a little sketchy anyway. So Carlos Foster, the other guy with us, we bailed. Brett said he wanted to hang, and it's about 5:30. He was solo. One thing's for sure, whoever killed Brett knew his surfing habits. He was the best. He'd surf everything. So they knew he'd be out there with a swell like that.
Is there anything else?
I hate to turn on a brother, but there's someone you should check out. His name's Jason Turley. He's totally trippy. He's an okay surfer, but he's got some damage. About 2 weeks ago, a bunch of us were out at Surfside. The waves were sweet. We were heading in at sundown. Brett and I came over the dunes. That's where the cars were. Jason was wailing on his girlfriend. She was screaming and crying. He was thrashing her as hard as he could. Brett got so smoked, he beat the shit out of him right there. Probably saved Andrea's life. Anyway, Jason got so pissed off. He's going around saying he wasted Brett. Said he was just chilling till he got his chance. Might freaky if you ask me. That's all I can say. I just hope you find the guy, whoever it is.
That one obviously is putting Jason Turley in a negative light. So this event that Randy talks about, where Jason apparently is physically assaulting his own girlfriend. Brett steps in and stops it and puts a beating on Jason, and then Jason turns around and says, this one's weird. I don't know if Randy, if the actor screwed up and meant to say it like the way he did, or the way the dialogue goes, it made it sound like Jason Turley was going around saying he was going to waste Brett, and he was just waiting for the time to do it at the right time or right moment. But yeah, either way, so now we have obviously a clear sign that Jason Turley is a suspect with an axe to grind. So let's go up to James Holt, who we've heard. We heard his name previously in terms of this land deal and possible paperwork going to him. So.
My name is James Holt. I'm an investigative reporter for the New York World Herald. I had an appointment to meet with Brett Penance yesterday evening at 6 p.m. sharp, but he never showed up. That's not unusual in my line of trade. Sources get cold feet.
What were you going to meet about?
Brett was going to deliver documents related to the permit application for Fossil Cove. He said they contained proof that the hydroengineering report filed by the developers, Frederick and Scylla Partners, had been falsified. Brett said that the real figures would doom the project from ever receiving a permit.
Did he say how or where he got this information?
No, he didn't. Brett only called me last week. I've never met him before. I had only seen him speak a couple of meetings down in South Fork. He was very eloquent for his age.
Is there a particular reason he contacted you, Mr. Holt?
I've been following Kinsella's story in the paper for a couple of years now. He has a record of being involved in an unusual number of irregularities during the permit process on his developments. A member of the local zoning board in Bellport, Long Island, lost both of his legs in a car accident. Later, police learned the brake lines had been cut. A woman who started a community group in Manhattan opposed to one of Kinsella's skyscrapers disappeared on her way to buy milk 2 years ago and has never been seen since. In the first case, circumstantial evidence linked the crime to mob members who reportedly had links to Kinsella's organization. A lot of people think Kinsella was involved in the second case as well. I called you, Detective, as soon as I read over the wire at work that Brett had been murdered.
Okay, so yeah, once again, James Holt, investigative reporter, points the finger at Kinsella and/or Kinsella's, roster of hitmen or muscle or whoever is willing to do the job for him. Oh, and now after clicking on James, Lucy is highlight once more again. Let's see what she has to say.
Janet Penance said her son left the house yesterday carrying a large envelope. She did not know what was inside. We've checked the car, however, and there's absolutely no trace of any envelope.
Okay, so there's that connection. Since we know from talking to James now that Brett never showed up to their scheduled meeting, and if that manila envelope is missing, then we know that someone must have taken it from Brett in between the time that he left his house and when he was possibly there heading to, or when he was at the beach. So and the question is who? If it's somebody that has nothing to do with the land development situation, why would they steal that envelope, right? So let's go up to Carlos Foster, who is, we found out from Randy, is his other surfer friend.
It's your chief speaking. Only 2 hours left to solve this murder. The Chamber of Commerce is having a conniption fit about this. They say murder is all wrong for their vacation image. You're telling me.
My name is Carlos Foster. I was out surfing with Brett yesterday before he was killed. It was just a normal day. We went out. It was surfing heavy swell. We got out of the cars, put our suits on. Randy Howland was with us. Me and Randy didn't stay long. Brett said go on ahead. He wanted to catch a few more waves. Beach was empty when we left.
Is there anyone you know who might have had a reason to kill him?
I know everybody's gonna say that it was somebody from Kinsella's side, but there's a wild card you might want to know about. It's this woman in town. She's a middle-aged lady, 34, 35. Her name's Braxton Smith. And she kind of had a thing for Brett. She started calling him all the time, inviting him over for dinner. Her old man's some heavy player on Wall Street. He only comes out on weekends. I caught her once up at Surfside, watching Brett surf through some binoculars. I ragged him really bad about it, but it really bothered him, you could tell. He told me something. He made me swear not to tell anybody. I don't think he talked to anybody else about it. I want to tell you, but I just don't want Mrs. Penance to find out.
We'll be as discreet as we possibly can.
He slept with her once, with Braxton Smith. He said it was almost an accident. He said she was a really good person and that he felt sorry for her. I think she thought it was going to be the beginning of some big affair or something. But she got kind of upset when he told her that wasn't what it was about. She wanted to leave her husband for him. Anyway, I dropped Brett off at his house last week after a party. Must have been about 1 a.m. And on the other side of the street, I see Braxton parked in a car. She kind of ducked down when I went by, but I saw her anyway. Weird, huh? I told Brett about it, but he didn't say much. I don't know. I don't think she would, I don't know. Love makes people strange. think I'm the only person that knows about this. Please don't tell his mom. I don't want her to find out.
Yeah, so there we go. Braxton Smith is now, obviously we know why, she's on the list of suspects. So it's revealed through this testimony that Braxton and Brett did have a one-night stand, some type of, situation. And that Braxton was apparently infatuated with Brett, but the feeling was not mutual. He's saying it was almost an accident. So we have, a jilted lover, unrequited love, whatever you want to call it, that may point the finger at Braxton rather than have anything to do with land deals. Alright, so let's go to Courtney Rook. Yeah.
Your name?
Courtney Rook, you want to know about the dead guy, right?
Yes, we do.
Well, see, there was a guy out surfing last night. The waves were really, really big. It was kind of hard to see him because the rain was so heavy, but I'm pretty sure he was the only one. I didn't see anyone else. All of a sudden, I heard a shot. There was a boat going by at the same time. A gray one. It floated right into the water. Anyway, I watched the boat for about a minute. It headed straight out to sea. Then I noticed that the surfer guy was gone.
Do you remember the exact time?
It was getting kind of dark. I was out looking for my dog Sam because he has to be in before dinner. That's the rule. So it was maybe 15 minutes before 6. We eat at 6.
Okay. So there's a quick cut there. So obviously, we're gonna, you'll see in the other scenarios how they play out with a different set of circumstances as far as how Brett's killed. Obviously, in this instance, he was shot. So Courtney's relaying how she heard a shot at the time that she saw this boat, and Brett being the only surfer in the water. So no notes from Lucy on that one. Let's go to Frida Callahan.
My name is Frida Callahan. My friends call me Freddie. Brett and I were working together this summer at Surfing Dave's. He was a really great guy. I feel real bad for Mrs. Penance. Anyway, something happened at work last week I think you should know about. This babe came by twice. I was minding the shop both times. Brett wasn't on. Bill was out back shaping boards. Anyway, she had dyed hair and like this big gold jewelry on. She pretended she wanted to learn how to surf. Like she could even stand up. Anyway, she asked questions about like where we like to ride waves. She wanted to know who the best local surfer was. No doubt, I said Brett. Well, then she starts asking me all these questions about him. When I look back, it's kind of like that's what she was really after. Information about Brett. She wanted to know what I thought about him. Was he smart? Did people like him? She even wanted to know like what we did in our spare time and where we hung out. Well, I kept quiet. I think she started catching on though when I kept changing the subject. I had never seen her before last week. But then just by accident, I noticed her leaving a building in town yesterday morning. The sign said, Margaret Hardin Real Estate. She probably wanted a bitch new house to go with her new surfboard.
You had me up until the end as far as you being, smart and knowing not to open your mouth about Brett's comings and goings, but then a little bit at the end is not correct. But So we find out again. So this Margaret was looking for essentially, intel on Brett. So again, each one of these witnesses all seem to kind of have their own individual perspectives on what was going on prior to the murder, and they all point to a different suspect. So we got one left, so it's Joe Franklin.
My name is Joel Franklin. I have a summer house on Surfside, the beach where the victim disappeared. I didn't know it, but yesterday when the storm came up, I was outside. I loved thunderstorms, have since I was a kid. This one was a beaut. It was about 10 minutes to 6. I looked up the beach toward the west. I wasn't expecting to see anyone, so when I did, I was surprised to see someone out surfing. A beautiful surfer, too. The waves were huge. Anyway, a phone call came just about then. I was on the line for 4 or 5 minutes. When I came back outside, the surfer was gone. It was 5:53 exactly. I noted it on the clock beside the phone when I hung up.
So at least we have all the time is in the correct spot as far as the witnesses that saw Brett at the beach, because Courtney was saying it was around or before 6 because they eat at 6. Joel saw them around 5:53. So okay, so we've got all the witness statements, all the videos played. So let's go back here. So now that we have that, just for the fun of it, so we have an hour and 24 minutes. I'm going to see what we can get off of the alibis. Which I think we might have to actually play this as well in order to get the non-testimonial evidence. So we might as well play each one of these and hear from our assistant Lucy. Start with Edward. Okay.
Edward Talaman was alone between 5 and 7. When I went by to chat earlier today, there were still fresh ashes in his fireplace, and his computer was still unplugged from the storm last night. In effect, he has no strict alibi to speak of for the estimated time of death, but what's missing here is motive. Talaman didn't even know who Brett Penance was. He apparently hasn't even known Kinsella for that long.
So we got, again, Edward Talaman, who's been the one constant in all 3 of our virtual murder cases to this point. No real strong connection to any aspects of Brett Penance in terms of the land development deal. No interactions directly with him that would, stir any emotion in Edward to have any ill will towards Brett. So we have no idea why he's really here, aside from the fact it's just maybe a wrong place, wrong time situation. So let's go to Margaret Harden.
I checked at the Hyde Inn. They did have 2 men checked in under the name Elias. They arrived yesterday morning by car. The men were picked up by Margaret Harden yesterday afternoon sometime around 4. Agnes Hyde said there was something very strange about them. They were dressed entirely in black and paid for their rooms up front in cash. And then they checked out right after Margaret dropped them off at 7. They never even spent the night. Their forwarding number does not exist.
Okay, so that kind of tells us that maybe these people that were coming to look at property were intentionally trying to hide their identity and gave either fake names, fake info. So let's see, let's go to Amos Johnson. I'm not sure if the quality, if the focus is going in and out on you guys. Let's see. hopefully, no, there we go. Bear with me, I am so sorry. This is mostly due to, I believe, the camera set up on my tripod. Sorry if I'm making anybody dizzy here. Okay. Alright, well, let's see if I can... I'll definitely have this thing cleared up before we have any of our additional stuff going on. Because we only have an hour left on this particular block of gameplay. So, see, there it is. It goes. I don't know why it does that. There we go. Let's go to Amos while it's clear.
Listen, there's only 1 hour left.
Yes.
Use your time carefully. From here on, every minute counts.
Okay.
Amos Johnson was driving around and has no alibi to speak of for the time of death, as he states himself. His rather belligerent roommate, one George Ruggins, did verify his return home at exactly 8:11 p.m. It sounded like Ruggins was watching the clock.
Belligerent roommate. Makes you wonder. Okay. Let's go in the opposite direction as we did with the other videos. Let's go to Al Ciprano next.
There are some interesting gaps in Al Ciprano's alibi. He did go by Bert's Burger's drive-up window, but it was at 5:15, not more towards 6, like he reported. The girl at the window who served him said he only ordered a Coke and then drove out as soon as he paid. Two different members of the paint crew report Ciprano showing up at 6:40, not 6:20. After that, he checked on their work and then took them out for some beers. That part of his testimony appears to stick. None of them noticed him acting oddly. But this does leave almost an hour and a half of his time unaccounted for, very near the time of the victim's death.
Okay. And let's go to Frederick Kinsella. I have no idea why this is acting up the way it is. I want to get a clear shot for you guys, so let's see. Hopefully, hopefully this can actually clear up here. Again, this shows you my the fact that I'm a production team of one here. Trying to get this right for you. Let's see.
Kinsella's alibi checks out. Several people saw him at the Turner Lewis Gallery in Manhattan between 5:30 and 6:20. The seaplane pilot corroborates that he left Manhattan with Kinsella at around 6:40 and flew straight to South Fork. That also checks out with FAA records. The seaplane pilot mentioned that despite the bumpy air, Kinsella requested a flyby over Surfside Beach. Since the Gibbs' farm is over a mile away, I'd like to know what he was looking for. Kinsella himself couldn't have killed Brett Penance, but I wouldn't rule him out as connected to the murder in some way.
Yeah, so now one wonders, like, if he is the type to spread a lot of money around, could he have hired any of the other suspects to do the killing for him? Like you said, like Lucy said, he's probably not the type to get his hands dirty whatsoever with the actual deed, but can definitely finance plenty of them. Let's go to Cynthia Rhodes. Oh, no. I forgot. This is how we usually end up in the last half hour. It defaults to the press conference. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause. I'm going to get this tripod in a much clearer position so we don't have this blurred situation that we were going through earlier. And we're going to start up again with I I guess we're gonna go ahead and I'll get all the interviews done, and we'll get back to the alibis, and I'll be with you momentarily. Please hold. Okay, so we're back. I figure I'd start here because I have gone through some of our suspects' interviews, and as I was referencing before, how sometimes after the interviews with our witnesses, we were getting little side notes from Lucy, and I knew that we had at least one or possibly two of them pop up after our suspect interviews. I've gone through all the ones that are grayed out here, and I believe we have one after, I know we have one after Edward. Whether or not we have one after Cynthia, I'm not positive, but so all we're going to do, as you can see, the interviews eat up the time regardless of whether or not you play the video. It gives you credit for it, but I'm just going to X out of it, and you notice that Lucy popped up for Edwards. So let's see what she has to say.
Kinsella keeps a butler and cook at the South Fork house full-time. I asked them about the car and the boat. It could just be job protection. Then again, the main house is several hundred yards and many trees away.
Okay, so that's in reference to the guest house where Edward Talaman was staying. So let's see what Cynthia, I think Cynthia may have one as well.
Detective, you're halfway there. The autopsy should be ready by now, shouldn't they?
Look at that, 3 hours gets eaten up just on the suspect interviews. So, oh, and we do have one lit up for Cynthia as well, so good thing I checked.
I checked into it, and the only other developments that Cynthia Rhodes has opposed are the ones that were in her own neighborhood.
Okay. So she's just selective about her, the ones that she's opposed to. Okay, so we're back with 2 hours, 56 minutes worth of gameplay before it, essentially, we'll pretend it's 2.5 as we saw, and when it hits the 30-minute mark, it automatically bumps you from whatever you're doing to go right to the press conference, so we're going to try to avoid that again. So we've got reported the murder done, we've looked at the crime scene, we've got all the suspects and the witnesses taken care of, and we were in the middle of obtaining our alibi information. Just for the fun of it, I know we started with Amos. I'm just going to click on these again to get credit for it. We don't have to obviously play them through again. So we got through that, we got through Margaret's. And we got through Edward. And Al, same thing. We'd actually, I think, just gotten his done. Kinsella. Alright, so let's get, I think we just got cut off at the Cynthia Rhodes mark, if I'm not mistaken.
It's your chief speaking. Only 2 hours left to solve this murder. The Chamber of Commerce is having a conniption fit about this. They say murder is all wrong for their vacation image. You're telling me.
Cynthia Rhodes was spotted by 3 people at Warner's vegetable stand at around 5:15 p.m. Her children both report that their mother arrived home when she said she did at 5:30. A neighbor spotted her in the window in the kitchen cooking at 6:10 or so. Her first guests, a couple named Todd and Olivia Klein, arrived early, about an hour later. She served hot anchovy puffs, grilled wild mushroom salad, and homemade bouillabaisse with aioli for dinner, and poached pears and cookies for dessert. Anyone who did all that cooking in a 2-hour stretch had no time to go out and kill someone in the meantime. I think her alibi is solid for time of death.
Alright, so this one actually has, while she may have had her reasons in terms of the ability she seems like she has not only a lot of, a lot of evidence backing why she couldn't have been able to get there in time, but also she has the witnesses to back up the tasks that she was doing for dinner and dessert. So Cynthia seems to be one that I think we can likely, not consider as someone we want to press charges against. Well, let's give Braxton a try.
Braxton Smith was seen at the post office when she says she was near 5 o'clock. She checked into her health club at 5:15, or so she wrote. I checked the log, and several people above her had signed in as late as 6 o'clock. Also, I can't find any positive IDs until after 6. One member thinks he saw her lifting weights, but he isn't sure. She was at the airport to meet her husband's flight, which arrived 10 minutes late at 6:55 due to weather. This leaves a hole near the time of death.
So between the time that she got to the airport and putting a different time in on the chart at the fitness center, there's a possibility. Let's give Jason Turley a try here.
There's no real way to confirm this alibi. The suspect's doctor's appointment in Manhattan was at 10 in the morning. He left by 11. He was seen by the doorman at his parents' building at 1022 Fifth Avenue a half an hour later. That's the last time anyone can verify his whereabouts. I checked at the garage where he keeps his car, and they said he called for it early, around 8, and never returned it. He's missing for most of the day and could have easily made it out to South Fork in time to commit murder. He's also apparently excellent on the sea with boats.
Okay, so there's another one that evidence and opportunity point to him being a very strong possibility. And Stella Gibbs. And an hour and a half to go.
Owen Gibbs stated that his mother came back from town at around 5, and that he and his mother were home alone the entire evening. This concurs with her report. He also reported receiving a phone call at around 6. Stella Gibbs answered the phone, so we can place her solidly there at that time. My impression was that the son is pretty much under the mother's thumb. Owen Gibbs must be 38, 39. He works at the local hardware store. He's never married. He says he's always lived at home. This is a less than perfect alibi. He has powerful reasons to cover up for his mother.
Okay. So that's all the alibis done. And we have an hour and 26 minutes. So, let's see, since we have all that covered, and I want to see if we can eat up the rest of the time on something that's we're not going to have to revisit. Let's go to other sources, and let's see if the non-testimonial evidence is available for any of the suspects. I would think it's available for all of them now, because we've interviewed them as suspects. We've also interviewed all of the witnesses. So let's see. Yep, there we go. Okay, good. Oh, all right. For Braxton Smith, we have a positive match of her fingerprints to those that were found on the rear door of the victim's car. Shoe size 9.5, height 5'6", weight 105, left-handed, drives a white Mercedes-Benz. Positive match to one of the two sets. So her car was at the beach? Okay. Huh. Let's try Cynthia. Okay, as we suspected, no fingerprints at the crime scene of Cynthia's. Dark gray 1990 Saab. No positive match to those of the scene. As we kind of determined, Cynthia was seemingly a very, very long shot. Let's give Edward a try here.
Listen, there's only 1 hour left. your time carefully. From here on, every minute counts.
Yes. Hopefully we can get this done before the half-hour mark, and then we don't have to go back to the non-testimonial stuff. Edward Talman, fingerprints, no positive matches to prints at the crime scene. Righty, 1993 red Pathfinder, no positive match to those at the scene as far as tire prints. So Edward's also a no-go as far as really having anything that places him at the scene. Let's try Jason. Ooh, I don't think we're going to get through this, guys. Not without us getting cut off. No positive matches to prints at the crime scene. Okay. Same thing with tire prints. Okay. Alright, so let's see. Let's go with people that that are likelihood. Then we can, oh, what's this?
Turley's parents are extremely rich, and he's obviously indulged. This car lists for $22,000 and reaches speeds of 140 miles per hour.
Okay. Let's just try Al for some reason. I feel like we should give him a try. Ooh, 34 minutes, guys. Alright, no positive matches. Okay, here we go. Tire prints. There's a match with set found near Brett's car. And he drives an off-white Dodge Ram. Okay, so that puts Al there. Alright, so we're at 34 minutes. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pause again. Endure all I got to endure so you guys don't have to. So when we come back, we'll be at the same screen. And we're going to get Fred, Margaret, Amos Johnson, and Stella Gibbs' non-testimonial evidence covered. Please hold. And we're back. So now, as I said, I went back into the brand new game, went through just the interviews and the alibis for the 4 remaining people that we had here for our non-testimonial evidence, so that hopefully we can just get all this covered and be done with it. So let's go to Fred Kinsella. So with Fred, as one would suspect, no fingerprints found at the crime scene that match his. No tire prints at the scene. So again, if he's got anything to do with this, it's from afar. He may very well have ordered the hit on Brett, but he definitely did not pull the trigger. So let's go to Margaret. No positive matches to prints at the crime scene. She does drive a white vehicle, an 87 white Mercedes-Benz sedan. No positive match to those at the scene, though. Okay. Let's go to Amos. Okay, no positive matches as far as fingerprints, nor any tire prints at the scene, so Amos is also not present. What about Stella Gibbs? Oh, okay. Interesting. Positive matches to prints at the crime scene. Drives an off-white Chrysler. No positive match as far as tire prints, though. Okay. So, we got non-testimonial evidence done. Let's see what we have in Brett's car. Alright. So, I guess we can click on... Oh, okay. So, this brings us right inside. What do we got here? Okay.
There are 4 different sets of fresh fingerprints on the dashboard, steering wheel, and seat that have all been identified as belonging to Brett or his close friends. There's a drop of blood on the driver's floor mat, positively matched to the victim. It appears to be at least several days old. A t-shirt and towel belonging to the victim are on the passenger side floor. The glove compartment contains 3 condoms, surfboard wax, a copy of the zoning bylaws for the town of Southport, and a copy of Brett's auto insurance and registration.
Okay. So I guess that's, we click on the front. Let's see if we click on the back seat and. Okay.
The magazine we know about from the pharmacist. What I wonder is, who owns those prints on the rear door? Was something stolen? Could it be the evidence Brett was sent to deliver to the reporter, James Holt?
Okay.
The back seat contains several sticks of surfboard wax, 1 running shoe, a windbreaker, a jar of liniment for sore muscles, and a copy of a novel entitled Vindication from the local library. There are no manila envelopes. There are a set of unidentified prints on the rear driver's side door handle and on the seat inside.
Okay. Let's see if there's anything in the trunk. Okay.
The trunk contains the other running shoe, an empty jar of peanut butter, a spare tire, and a toolkit, and an old blanket. All fresh fingerprints in the area belong to the victim. There is no sign of a manila envelope or the evidence he was set to deliver to the reporter from New York.
Alright, so as we knew before that envelope or and its contents never reached their intended destination. Alright. Okay, so I guess we can...
Detective, you're halfway there. The autopsy should be ready by now, shouldn't they?
Shouldn't it?
There are 2 sets of fresh tire prints parked near the victim's car. Neither match those belonging to the cars of the friends he was surfing with.
Okay. Alright, so I think we've got all that covered. So we got 2 hours, 58 minutes. Let's try Brett's room. See his bedside table.
We found a phone number written on a matchbook cover, carefully stored inside the victim's desk drawer. There was no name beside it, so I called the number and recorded the call. A woman answered the phone. Before I could even tell her why I was calling, she said,
"Please, leave me alone. Don't you see this is very dangerous? I could get killed. They killed Brett."
I traced the number to a residence for a Suzanne Newcomb over in Harborside. It so happens that a woman by the same name used to work for Amos Johnson Engineering until 2 months ago. I called his office posing as someone who wanted to hire Miss Newcomb. They said she left for a medical reason, ulcers, but they said her work was excellent. This is looking more and more suspicious.
Very. Okay. And laundry basket.
We found a videotape in the bottom of Brett's laundry hamper. I think you'll find it very interesting, Detective.
Okay, my name is Brett Penance. I'm making this tape because there's valuable information that people have got to know about. I'm afraid I may not get to tell it. I hope I come home tonight and can find this tape where I've hidden it. If I'm able to, it means that the necessary information has made it to the right hands.
But if I don't come back, it means that the information hasn't been delivered. Which is why I'm making this tape. It's Friday, May 23rd, around 3 o'clock, and I have a meeting this evening at 6 with a reporter named James Holt. He works for the New York World Herald. I will be delivering documents to Holt that show the intentional tampering with the hydrology test results at the Fossil Cove wetlands. These results were modified in favor of an application made by Frederick Kinsella Partners. The results were falsified by their chief engineer, Mr. Amos Johnson. The materials that I will be delivering to Holt tonight contain the actual hydrology test results, with notes made in Kinsella's handwriting that indicate which figures he wanted changed. These new results diminish the size and extent of the wetlands by 45%. And according to the zoning bylaws of South Fork, Kinsella claims he has rights to build 125 houses and condominiums on Stella Gibbs Farm. According to my calculations, based on the actual hydrology test results, Kinsella has rights to build 11. The real heroine of this story is the person who risked her life to provide me with copies and the documents. I promise never to reveal her name, and I won't, but she really deserves most of the credit. Now my task is to deliver the documents. One will be given to James Holt later this evening, and the other copy can be found buried under a large granite rock in my mother's side garden. Sorry, Mom, that I disturbed the plants and made a mess, but, it's all in the name of the planet, I guess. And I'm really sorry, Mom, about this subterfuge and the runaround. I just need to get really worried if I told you, and I didn't want to get you involved. I've been followed. Someone tried to run me off the road and kill me. It's a mess. But I really love you, Mom, and, I don't know, you've just been the best. So, anyway, I gotta go.
We indeed just found the envelope that Brett Penance refers to, exactly where he described. The proper authorities are being notified. Now all we need to find is the killer.
Okay. So we got that covered. So let's see, we're at almost an hour. I think the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do the retracing of his route, which again will probably change a little bit based on the scenario that we're in. And obviously the autopsy will be different as well, but let's get those two bits done and then we'll call it a day for this installment. Again, this is cool because this was not something that we had available to us in the first two games, but it gives us a chance to kind of get a little bit more like quick witness statement or note about what he was doing, who he interacted with, if anybody along the way. So, first start at Brett's house.
Like I told you, Brett left the house around 4. He said he had a few errands to run before going down to surf, and that he'd be home by 7. He didn't say what his errands were.
Okay. So, I guess from that point, we go down to Summer Street. Let's see what this one's about.
My name is Poppy Cleveland. I was riding my bike down Summer Street when Brett drove by and waved. It was 4:10. I had just finished a babysitting job, so I had just looked at my watch. Brett was headed toward the center of town.
Okay. Let's try the library.
My name is Ellen Webster. I was the librarian on duty at 4:15 when Brett new biography of J. Edgar Hoover. He took out a copy of a novel called Vindication about the life of Mary Wollstonecraft.
That was it. Okay. And the gas station. Let me adjust this a little bit more for you. Hopefully this is alright.
Brett stopped by for $5 in gas a little after 4. I know because he asked the time. It was 4:30. He and I were chatting about the storm that was coming in. He said it was surfing weather. There's one thing for sure, is that boy loved to surf.
Okay, how about that for a nice sound edit? Clearly they, obviously they're using this video clip again because whatever he says in the actual cut is not the time that apparently is applicable to this scenario, because that was definitely not his voice that said 4:30. So, alright, so we got all the times here, so 4:10, 4:15, 4:30, and so we're going to end it with going to the beach, and that's where we're going to meet up with our assistant, Lucy.
Brett met his friends here at 10 minutes to 5. It's only about 10 minutes from the gas station in normal traffic. What he did with that extra 10 minutes, we're not quite sure. It may have just been the weekend traffic that slowed him down, or he may have stopped someplace else. According to his buddies, they were in the water within 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Lucy. So that covers the entire route that Brett took on his way to the beach. So we have 2 hours, 23 minutes. Alright, so we've done that. We've done everything except the autopsy, which we found out from our chief that it is available. Okay. So we're not going to read through the entire thing, but we're going to go through just the meat and potatoes of it. He was an 18-year-old male, 155 pounds. So we're looking really more to the situation where, what actually did kill him. Okay, back wetsuit contains a considerable amount of Illinging sand? I don't know. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. Alright. Okay. Body was washed ashore in the morning's tide. Okay. 2 sets of additional fingerprints not belonging to the victim are visible on the front of the wetsuit. Appear to be embedded in the rubber and does not appear to be new. Okay. Okay, so small, relatively clean puncture hole, 0.30 inches in diameter, visible on the wetsuit material on the victim's left anterior chest. Area around the entrance wound on the wetsuit is slightly abraded and contains a tiny amount of blood, type A positive. Matching the victims, probably from C page. Whatever that is. It shows again just relatively clean with minimal amounts of blood seepage. Seepage. Oh my god, I said C page. Don't mind me. Into the surrounded wetsuit material. Whew. Yikes. The body is trim with exceptional muscle tone. Yada yada yada. Eyes are hazel. Teeth in good condition. Chest wound corresponding to the wetsuit puncture visible on the victim's left anterior chest. Small ring of abrasion at the entrance site other than which the entrance wound is clean. Okay. Examine the thick chest cavity reveals numerous minute fractures, multiple tiny fragments of lead along a direct wound path. Okay. cleanliness of the site, especially the lack of a pronounced and important exit wound, indicate that the wound was likely caused by a full metal jacketed bullet meant for military purposes. Bullet was probably shot from a .30-06 high-powered rifle at a range of less than 30 yards. No soot or gunpowder are present. This indicates that the soot has not made, or that the shot was not made at close range, a range of less than 15 feet. Okay. Okay. Victim died from acute and sudden disruption of the organ function of the heart. Additional related findings of severe internal hemorrhaging, bone fractures, and external wound traumas were a subset of this primary cause. Meaning, so essentially anything that happened to him on his way to being washed ashore after he was shot, they have note of it, but it didn't play a role in him actually dying. So we got the autopsy covered. And we are now done with everything under other resources. So we're going to call it a day with this one. We're at an hour, almost 7 minutes. So when we are back with you next time, we will have our chance to take a hit at the press conference, and from there to our in-depth interviews with the suspects that we have available to us, and maybe even try to get some warrants filled out. And depending on who we choose, hopefully we'll have some unique shoot-downs before we actually find our killer. So again, this is Beacon of Hype. Thanking you for joining, and hopefully see you soon. Take care.